every man's life when he must choose who leads his journey, not just in times of confusion, but in the moments of clarity too. Because it is easy to call upon God when life collapses, but true power, real mastery, comes when a man chooses to follow God even when everything is going right. That's when your character is tested. That's when your future is determined. You are not designed to walk this world alone. You were never meant to fight battles with just your own hands. There is a divine intelligence far greater than your own mind, and when you allow God to take the lead in your life, you step into a life of clarity, conviction, and conquest. You may have talents, you may have ideas, you may even have a vision, but if you try to build your life based only on what you think, what you want, what you believe is right, without divine guidance, you may find yourself chasing shadows, climbing ladders, leaning against the wrong wall. Why? Because man sees only a small picture. God sees the whole canvas. Man can look into the past and the present. God sees beyond time. The wisest man is not the one who knows everything. The wisest man is the one who knows that he does not know enough and therefore surrenders to the one who does. That surrender is not weakness. It is the greatest strength you will ever know, because in that surrender you find direction. In that surrender you find peace, and in that surrender you discover power far beyond your own. People say, I'm self-made, but no man is self-made. You either walk with divine purpose or you drift by default. You either yield your will to something higher or you become a slave to your own ego. And the ego is a terrible master. It lies, it distracts. It builds kingdoms of sand that collapse when the winds of life begin to blow. Look around. How many are building lives on shaky foundations? Money, fame, approval of others, their own plans, their own ambition. How many are climbing mountains that don't lead to anything real, only to realize at the top that they were led by pride and not by purpose? Do you want that to be you? There is a voice that speaks in the stillness, a gentle whisper that tells you which way to go. But the noise of the world drowns it out. You must quiet the chaos to hear that voice. You must stop chasing, stop striving, stop pretending to be in control, and ask the question, God, what would you have me do? That one question can change your life, because when God leads, doors open that no man can shut. When God leads, you walk through valleys with courage, because you know the shepherd is with you. When God leads, you stop fearing the future, because you know he's already there. But most people don't want to give up control. They want to do things their way. They pray, but only to get God to agree with their plan. They seek guidance, but only if it doesn't disrupt their comfort. And then they wonder why they feel lost, why they feel empty. Why, even with everything, something still feels missing. The answer is simple. They are leading themselves. You cannot be both the driver and the passenger. You cannot ask God to lead and then take the wheel yourself. You must choose. Either God leads or he doesn't. And when he does, you must follow with full trust, even when the path makes no sense, even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs you comfort, popularity, or pride. The truth is, most of your greatest breakthroughs will come wrapped in disguise. They won't look like blessings. They will look like trials, rejections, delays, detours. But if God is leading, even a closed door is a gift. Even a painful season is a lesson. Even a betrayal is redirection. You must develop eyes that see beyond the surface. You must train your heart to recognize divine movement, because when you truly let God lead, you stop reacting to life and start responding to purpose. You become grounded, unshakable, unbreakable, not because life gets easier, but because your foundation is stronger. Do you know what happens when you allow God to lead? You stop wasting time. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You stop entering rooms not meant for you. You stop giving your energy to people who were never assigned to your journey. You begin to walk with focus, with conviction, with grace, because every step is ordered. Every connection is divine. Every detour is intentional. You may be wondering, how do I know if God is leading? The answer lies in your alignment. Is your life centered around ego, or is it centered around purpose? Are your decisions made through prayer or pride? Are you walking with peace or pressure? When God leads, there is peace, even in the chaos. There is confirmation, even when there's no applause. There is assurance, even when the road is lonely. You will have to let go of your plans. You will have to say no to good things so you can say yes to the right things. You will have to choose patience over pressure, obedience over opportunity, purpose over popularity. You will have to trust when you don't understand, believe when you cannot see, move when it's uncomfortable, and wait when your flesh is begging to rush. But I promise you, if you allow God to take the lead, He will take you places your talent never could. He will open doors you didn't even know existed. He will protect you from battles you didn't even see coming. He will surround you with favor that defies logic. He will restore what you lost. He will multiply what you have. He will elevate you when the time is right, not when you demand it, but when you're ready. Let me tell you this, God does not waste anything. If He is leading, even your mistakes will become part of your message. Even your failures will serve a purpose. Even your pain will become power. But you must stay surrendered, stay connected, stay led. This is not about religion. This is about relationship. This is not about being perfect. This is about being positioned. This is not about looking spiritual. This is about being real with the God who made you, who knows you, who sees you, and who still has a plan for you. If your life feels confusing, it may be because you're trying to lead. If your path feels heavy, it may be because you're trying to carry it alone. If your future feels uncertain, it may be because you're relying on your own understanding. Step back, let go, and let God do what only He can do. The greatest decision you'll ever make is not what career to choose, who to marry, or where to live. The greatest decision you'll ever make is who leads your life, because that one decision will influence every other choice you ever make. And if God leads, you never walk in darkness, you never walk alone, you never walk without power. The men and women who shape history are not those who are led by the world or even by themselves. They are those who are led by God. Because only God sees the end from the beginning. Only God knows the road that leads to destiny. And only God can take you through storms and bring you out stronger, wiser, better, and ready. The time has come for you to stop walking in circles. Stop leaning on your own understanding. Stop reacting to fear and doubt. Step into divine leadership. Invite God into every area of your life, your relationships, your finances, your career, your calling. Give Him full control, not partial. Let Him lead, and then follow, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it costs you something, because what you gain will always be greater than what you give up. And who you become by walking with God will always be greater than who you could become by walking alone. When God leads, no obstacle can stop you, no enemy can break you, no failure can define you, no fear can paralyze you. You become a vessel of purpose, a force of light, a warrior of destiny, and your life becomes a testimony, not of your power, but of what happens when you allow the greatest power in the universe to take the lead. Let God lead not just today, not just in crisis, but every day in every way through every season, and you will witness what happens when heaven backs your every step. You'll begin to notice something strange, almost supernatural. Where once there was resistance, now there's flow. Where once there was confusion, now there's direction. People around you may not understand it. They may question your choices. They may even mock your faith. Let them, because when God is leading, you don't need validation from man. Your validation comes from above. You don't need to explain your journey to those who weren't assigned to walk it. This is the kind of leadership that builds unshakable belief. You stop begging for opportunities and you begin preparing for them. You stop comparing yourself to others and you begin aligning yourself with truth. You stop seeking attention and you begin seeking alignment. Because you know that when you're where God wants you to be, you already have everything you need, and you'll start to feel it, a deep inner calm, even when the storm is raging outside, Not because life becomes easier, but because you're no longer walking alone. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're responding to divine instruction. Your decisions become clearer. Your steps become bolder. Your actions become more intentional. You're not guessing anymore. You're guided, and when you're guided, you don't waste time explaining, defending, or proving. You're no longer a servant to opinions. You're a servant to purpose, and purpose doesn't require permission. It just requires obedience. Do you know how many people have missed their calling because they wanted comfort more than clarity, because they chose what was easy over what was eternal, because they listened to fear instead of faith? You cannot walk into your destiny if you're constantly checking the temperature of public opinion. You cannot allow your friends, your followers, or your feelings to determine your future. Only God knows what you were truly created for. You must develop an inner loyalty, a spiritual backbone, a mindset that says, if God said go, I go. If God said wait, I wait. If God says no, I accept it. If he shuts the door, I bless it. If he opens the window, I jump. That's what it looks like when you truly let him lead. You stop wrestling with delay and you start trusting divine timing. You won't always understand the path. In fact, you often won't. It will rarely look how you expected, but you must remember this. Just because it's unfamiliar doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not your assignment. Many people have aborted their destiny because they expected ease. But destiny does not arrive wrapped in ease. It arrives wrapped in obedience. And when you let God lead, you stop worshiping outcomes. You start honoring the process, because the process is where you are shaped, where you are refined, where you are prepared. Too many people want the promise without the process. They want the destination without the discipline. They want the reward without the responsibility. But God will never give you what you're not prepared to carry. He leads you through preparation so you can hold the promise without it breaking you. You must trust his no as much as you trust his yes. You must trust his silence as much as his voice. You must trust his delay as much as his deliverance. Because when God leads, even the delay is a part of the design. Even the silence is speaking, even the wilderness is preparing. It's never random, it's never wasted, it's all intentional, and something beautiful happens when you walk long enough with God in the lead. Your desires begin to change, your appetite shifts. What used to thrill you no longer excites you. What used to tempt you no longer controls you. You begin to crave something deeper. You begin to hunger for meaning, not just money. Purpose, not just position. Legacy, not just likes. Because when God leads, your identity is no longer tied to what you do, what you own, or how people see you. Your identity is rooted in who you are and whose you are. And that is freedom, that is power, that is unshakable confidence. You begin to speak with a different authority, walk with a different presence, not arrogance, never arrogance, but assurance, because you know who is with you. You know who is behind you. You know that you've been assigned, not just hired, sent, not just selected, chosen, not just chasing, and that's why you no longer chase blessings. You become a blessing. You no longer chase success. You walk in significance. You're no longer obsessed with being seen. You're focused on being aligned, and what a difference that makes. When God is leading, you'll be placed in rooms you didn't qualify for on paper. You'll find favor with people who don't even know why they like you. Doors will swing open, not because of your resume, but because of your obedience. God will raise you up not to impress others, but to fulfill what he put you on this earth to do. And even when the enemy tries to attack, because he will, you'll be covered. He'll throw distractions, detours, disappointments, and delays, but they won't stop you, because you're not walking in your own strength. You're walking under divine instruction. You're not just surviving. You're building something eternal. And here's what many forget. When you truly let God lead, your life becomes a beacon. People watch you. They may not say it, but they feel something when you walk in the room. It's not charisma, it's calling, it's not personality, it's presence, it's not popularity, it's purpose, and that is what sets you apart. You become a lighthouse in a world full of storms, a standard bearer in a culture that keeps lowering the bar. You become proof that it is possible to live with conviction, to walk with clarity, and to operate with power, and still remain humble, kind, and grounded. But none of it happens by accident. You must choose daily to let God lead. You must surrender your will again and again. You must say no to what the world says yes to, and yes to what the world says is crazy. You must be willing to walk alone before you are celebrated, obey before you are understood, and trust before you are rewarded, because the reward is not the applause. The reward is not the outcome. The reward is not even the result. The real reward is who you become in the process of following God, the wisdom you gain, the depth you develop, the strength you cultivate, the clarity you uncover. That's what sets you apart. And in that process, you'll begin to experience something that many people never feel, a life that is truly aligned, a life that is deeply fulfilling, a life that is not just full of activity but full of meaning, a life that echoes in eternity. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't ask the world what to do. Don't scroll your way into confusion. Don't crowdsource your purpose. Don't rely on your own understanding. Ask the one who created you. Ask the one who already wrote the story. Ask the one who sees beyond what you see, and then, when you hear his voice, follow it with everything you've got. And when you follow it, even if it costs you everything, you will gain more than you ever imagined. Because there are things God will only reveal to you in motion. He gives the next instruction once you've acted on the first. So many people are stuck, not because God is silent, but because they haven't obeyed the last word he gave them. They're waiting for clarity, but clarity comes after obedience, not before. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to take the next step he told you to take. That step might look small, but it will carry weight. That phone call you've been resisting, that boundary you need to set, that chapter you need to close, that risk you've been afraid to take, that one step can change everything, and when you take it in faith, even if your knees are shaking, the entire atmosphere around your life begins to shift. You move from intention to action, from delay to destiny, and you begin to walk with a new rhythm, a rhythm that heaven responds to. But understand this, when God leads, the path isn't always paved. Sometimes it's rugged. Sometimes it's narrow. Sometimes it's uphill with no handrails and no signposts. But even then you are not lost. You are not wandering. You are being led. You are being trained. You are being refined. Because God does not lead you just to elevate you. He leads you to transform you. There are levels of wisdom, levels of faith, levels of character that can only be reached through the journey. And the very places you prayed to avoid are often the places God uses to prepare you. You might look around right now and say, "Why am I here? Why is this so hard? Why isn't it working yet?" But if you could see what God is developing in you during this time, you wouldn't question the process. He's building endurance where you wanted ease. He's shaping strength where you wanted shortcuts. He's forming vision where you only asked for victory. And here's what separates those who walk in power from those who merely talk about it: discipline in the waiting. Trust in the silence, movement in obedience. Anyone can shout when the walls fall. But those who march for 7 days without seeing a crack, those are the ones God trusts with more, because they don't just follow results, they follow instructions. And you can only develop that kind of discipline when you stop living according to what you see and start living according to what you believe. What God promised you is more real than the delay you feel. What he said in secret is more powerful than the noise of the world, and when he speaks, his word will not return void. It will accomplish what he sent it out to do, but only if you stay the course. You see, every calling comes with a price. Every anointing carries a weight. Every purpose demands preparation, and the people who reach the fullness of their destiny are not the ones with the least opposition, but the ones with the deepest trust. Trust that doesn't waver in the storm, trust that doesn't crumble under pressure, trust that says, even now, even here, even through this, I still follow. That's what separates those who talk about faith from those who walk by it. God is not just looking for people who say they believe. He's looking for people who act on what they believe, people who will build the ark when there's no rain, people who will stand before giants with just a sling, people who will walk around walls with nothing but a shout. And yes, it may look foolish, it may feel lonely, it may stretch every fiber of your being, but what's on the other side of your obedience is a life most people will never touch, because they never gave God full control. There is a power that flows through your life when you release your grip, when you take your hands off the wheel and say, God, have your way. That is not a passive decision. It's not sitting back and waiting. It's an active, living surrender. It's showing up with excellence. It's serving with humility. It's speaking when he says speak, and being silent when he says be still. It's trusting that his timing is always better, even when your heart is aching and your mind is racing. And the truth is, if you want to live a life of significance, you will be misunderstood. You will be overlooked. You will be tested. You will be stripped of things you once thought you needed. But every pruning leads to more fruit. Every surrender leads to more power. And every sacrifice for God's leading will be honored in ways you can't even comprehend. So you keep walking. You keep showing up. You keep building when no one's watching. You keep praising even when nothing seems to be changing, because faith is not just about feeling good. Faith is about being faithful, and when you are faithful with the little, God brings the increase. When you are faithful in the hidden, God elevates you in due time. When you are faithful in the test, God trusts you with the treasure, and the reward, it's not just success, it's not just increase, it's alignment. It's becoming exactly who God created you to be. It's waking up with purpose, moving with clarity, and sleeping with peace. It's knowing that no matter what happens around you, the one who leads you is still in control. But you must be willing to let go, to release your timeline, to surrender your plan, to trust that if God is leading, you will never miss what was meant for you. You will never have to force what was designed by heaven. You will never have to beg for what's already written into your destiny. You just have to stay aligned, stay available, stay obedient, and when it feels like you're behind, remember, God doesn't operate on your calendar. He's not rushed, he's not late, he's strategic, he's precise. He's orchestrating things you can't even see yet, conversations, connections, corrections, all aligning for a purpose greater than what your current reality reflects. Your job is not to figure it all out. Your job is to stay in position, stay in flow, stay in faith, because God doesn't need your perfection. He needs your participation. He doesn't expect you to know it all. He expects you to listen, to lean in, to follow with your whole heart. So I leave you with this truth, that's not just in ancient scripture, but in the fabric of every great life ever lived. When you let God lead, you do not walk in circles. You walk in purpose. You do not chase shadows. You carry light. You do not merely exist. You impact, you shift, you build, and you bless. Let the world hustle. Let the noise grow louder. Let the pressure mount. But you stay rooted. Stay surrendered, because the safest, strongest, most supernatural place to be is exactly where God wants you. Let him take the lead. Let him chart the course. Let him write the story, and watch how your life becomes a living testimony, not just of success, but of significance. Not just of gain, but of grace. Not just of outcomes, but of divine overflow. Now is the time. Trust his voice, obey his whisper, and never again doubt that the one who called you is faithful to complete what he started in you. Let God lead, and the rest will follow.